Right now, as fans of the My Hero Academia manga, we are all on the edge of our seats anticipating the furtherance and escalation to come from the impending war between heroes and villains. And it's for that very reason that in a previous video, we decided to get into the nitty-gritty and detail all the forces we currently know of at the disposal of the heroes, and further went to categorize them into various fields of expertise. Now, as much as I would love to do the same for the Paranormal Liberation Front, for the most part, their forces are shrouded in mystery and are likely to be revealed during the actual conflicts themselves. And I suppose that to an extent, that sort of thing may be considered to be an advantage of theirs, because as public figures, the strengths and weaknesses of virtually all pro heroes is on full display all the time, whereas the dregs of society have for the most part kept to the shadows and are only now beginning their crusade. And as we said in that previous video, the art of surprise and superior intel are valuable assets to have when it comes to the battlefield. But anyways, because we can't go into detail with each individual member of their armed forces, we'll instead be taking a detailed look at the wartime potential of their key members, which is quite possibly even more interesting because when I say the villains are stacked, I mean it. And to start us off, we need to talk about the presence Hawks himself feared the most, twice, and for good reason. With their toppling and consumption of the Meta Liberation Army, Twice managed to surmount his trauma, which apparently was the one thing keeping him from being a nation-level threat. I mean, multi-shadow clone jutsu alone would be troublesome enough to deal with, especially considering there doesn't seem to be an actual limit on his self-replicating beyond the degradation of solidity. But like, with that many of him, does it really even matter at that point? But hey, even if it did matter, what's especially terrifying about Twice's quirk is that if he has their precise measurements in mind, he can create whole copies of other people, quirks and all. So pretty much take whatever forces the villains have and multiply that by a few. And that is terrifying. We're talking about unrestricted lethal quirks here, and what we may presume to be a fair amount of top hero level high-end Nomu on top of that. And side note, with Shigaraki currently undergoing his operation, it would make sense for Twice to have created a copy of him so he could lead them regardless of his absence. After that, we have the likes of Dabi and Gaten the Iceman, who have been specified to be in charge of guerrilla warfare. Now, this is pretty damn concerning, for the heroes at least, because right now, they probably feel as though they have the upper hand by surrounding the enemy, when in fact, this regiment is prepared to do whatever it takes to secure victory. They'll likely be both unorthodox and consist of consolidated numbers as to aid in their mobility and flexibility. Dabi and Gaten have quirks that could swiftly shift the terrain at a moment's notice, and that sort of thing could be difficult for the heroes to deal with when they attempt to conduct their much larger forces. Forces which, to be fair, do consist of some inexperienced children. And to be real with you, Dabi kinda let me down when we were up against the Liberation Army, and so I'm hoping that he can kinda recover and salvage his reputation as far as I'm concerned. Spinner and Mr. Compress are in charge of support, and although these two are kinda like the least interesting of our former League of Villains, I am interested to see how they'll fare in all this. Mr. Compress has always been a valuable member of the team, and although I'm not really expecting to be wowed by him, I am expecting him to keep that reliability up. And as for Spinner, right now he's pretty whack, and kinda just like that one guy who everyone is cool with, but doesn't really contribute much to the group. But even still, at this point, we know animal-based quirks to have some ridiculous potential. So I'm really hoping that he manages to manifest some new facets of his gecko quirk that we have yet to see thus far. Now, another key member of their forces who, for some reason or another, didn't manage to make it onto the support vanguard group would be Trumpet. Now, Trumpet is pretty interesting in that he can amplify the physical and mental strength of their forces several times over if his voice is projected loudly enough. And so this coupled with Twice's quirk in any capacity is just absurd. That's just like juicing everyone up on trigger without the negative side effects. And seeing as how they intend on swaying members of society to their side by means of propaganda and disillusionment, this quirk could do wonders on that front. Remember, for a lot of people, this fight is more than just a status thing, it is an ideological battle. And it seems like their intelligence regiment will partake in a lot of espionage as they have Skeptic and Toga as their leads. Now, Skeptic isn't too interesting to me simply because his quirk is kinda like a more reasonable version of Twice's. He can turn human-sized objects like refrigerators into controllable puppets, and so you get a bit more durability, but lack the numbers and they remain quirkless. It could work for some silent infiltration, but I'm not expecting much from this guy. Toga, on the other hand, good lord, she is terrifying. I almost don't want to go too far when talking about her quirk, just because I could sit here for another 10 minutes just talking about it all, but to keep things simple, the fact that she can now encompass quirks in her transformations just takes her potential to the next level. There are so many quirks possessed by the heroes with lethal potential, so to see them used in an unrestricted manner would be insane. She'll of course need to come into possession of more blood, and it's currently unknown whether or not she can use the quirks of those she doesn't love or deeply desire to be, but regardless, we already know that she is gonna have some major moments during this war. Now moving on, we have to talk about Re-Destro. Now, even though I'm not expecting to see this man fight at all anymore considering he looks so stress-free now that Shigaraki is in the leadership position, but his financial and technological contributions cannot be understated. When it comes to support items, for the longest time, heroes have been made all the more efficient thanks to them, whereas villains would have some crappy equipment due to the illegitimacy of their proceedings. However, because they have Re-Destro, they have top of the line technology that happens to be unrestricted by sanctions and such, so they're super equipped. And if we're talking about technology, we do have the Doctor and his Nomu, so our numbers are bolstered even more over here. But when it comes to true demolition and unbridled strength, Giganto is your man. And it looks like he may be even more dangerous than before, but we've already gone in depth with all that in a previous video, so be sure to check that one out if you haven't already. But Giganto is just too strong, man. This dude is an army all his own, and I can't reasonably think of a hero today who can go one-on-one with this guy and last more than 10 minutes. So I'm fully expecting them to bust out the cheat codes on this guy and just bring out as many suppression quirks as possible. But last, but most certainly not least, besides their forces numbering over 100,000, we have the monstrosity himself, Shigaraki Tomura. Now, after seeing the sheer destruction this man was capable of in his fight against Re-Destro, I already knew it was wraps for the heroes. But with the modification process he's currently undergoing set to conclude in around a month's time, this is just a 5-course meal for him. He is just licking his fingers at this point. The Doctor labeled him his masterpiece, and we have already seen the creations the Doctor is capable of, so we should all be well beyond scared of Mr. Shigaraki at this point, because nobody, and I mean nobody, will be able to match with him. The Paranormal Liberation Front is stacked on stacked and just have so many powerful quirks at their disposal, and that's only counting the members we currently know a good amount about. Who knows what else they have tucked away? The heroes really gotta step it up if they hope to beat these guys, because Shigaraki and his followers are coming correct. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and tell me who amongst the villains you're most excited to see in action. For me, although I know Twice will be crazy and make everything crazier, I really want to see more Toga, and that's because I want to know the true extent of her quirk, and things like that really get me going, so yeah, fingers crossed for some more epic Toga moments. And on that note, be sure to subscribe so we can experience all those moments together, because if you're looking for more of some of the best My Hero Academia content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. Recently, thanks to your support, we've surpassed 30,000 subscribers over here, and it's kinda surreal. But to celebrate, be on the lookout for our next video. A lot of labor and love went into making it the best quality possible for your enjoyment, and so hopefully you enjoy it like you may have enjoyed this video. At the end of the day, so long as you guys are here appreciating what we do, we'll be here working hard, elevating our game, and validating our claims. As always, I am Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching, and have an awesome day. I love you.